Let's start. Last week I've been adding the actually I had a follow up of the of one of the discussion we had in ThinkUp meeting to add the CLAN build uh, to our CI namely to currently we are using the GNU GCC for running make check, but from time to time, our CLAN build fails. So I think it's a good chance for me to add to replace the GCC with CLAN, so we don't run into such kind of issues. So
Oh,
I'm working on this.
will we have a GCC make check in the future?
Um, I think in general the CLAN compiler is much less tolerant than GCC. So I think
Mm.
we won't use GCC in future, and we will stick with CLAN in hope that every the if the build pass on CLAN, it should pass on GCC. That's my assumption.
Okay.
So I'm trying to fix it, and one of the issue is to is in the FIO because it failed to build with a CLAN 10 or CLAN 11 in my case. So I'm trying the the root cause is that we having the statement of using namespace std in one of our header file, which is very popular and practically it's being included by like hundreds of the source file. So I'm trying to remove it, and I've created a PR to address it. Another issue is in FIO itself, where it failed to compile with the latest version of FIO failed to compile with a C++ compiler of GCC or with CLAN. I'm creating a patch to address it by using the atomic offered by Stan Library to implement the sequential lock. I will upstream the change later. And I think that's it. May.
Last week I finished the changing the allocate extend the hint by using shard ID, poor ID, and hashi prefixed, and still working on the comments. And I have discussed with Yinxin, and we'll update the PR according to Yinxin's comments. And currently, I found the FIO testing without debug information output is easy to fail. So maybe the LBU tree currently easily get the alert. Before I can doing the test with small concurrency. For example, the LDAP set to 2 and number drop is to 1, but currently I can't finish it. So it's easily to fail currently. That's all.
So
Chunmei, can you send an email with the instructions for how to reproduce it? I want to try it with my new LBA manager branch.
Okay.
Thanks.
Which means it's a regression, right? Introduced by our recent current future integration.
Yeah, before I can doing the FL test with the small concurrency, maybe L depth too.
Given that this crash did exist, it may not be a regression. It may be a fairly boring, just change in behavior.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe some behavior changed. So yeah, I will send Sam the instruction I used and.
Thanks.
Okay, that's all.
Vernon.
Hi, everyone. I'm still handling some issues with scrubbing. Sam had commented yesterday, and thanks. I'll redo those PRs and add a new one today, and then I'll try to continue. That's it.
Cam?
Let's see. I have the rewrite of the LBA manager passing its unit test now. I have a few more things to wire up to make the segment cleaner work, specifically the get physical extent stuff. After that, I should have a PR this week. That's it.
Okay, so anything you want to share with us? Okay, probably next time. Shehan.
This week I modified the placement manager PR suggestion, and I've just pushed the PR. Right now I'm debugging the, I think it is almost done.
Yeah, I failed to hear your last words. It's almost what?
I think the multi-device support of SeaStore is almost done. I'm still debugging it, but I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel.
Cool. I owe you a review on the extent placement manager. That's the next one I'll do tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Last week I have converted SeaStore with interrupted feature, and I also did some profiling to compare the behavior change. Seems to me that the conflict is moved from old node to LBA after these changes. Yeah, I think that's currently what I get from the profiling. And I'm still trying to improve the diagram to be easier to understand, and consider to add more metrics to measure LBA and ONO tree, like tree height and the tree operations. I think that's all from me.
Ying, could you elaborate a little bit on the conflict moved from ONode to LBA part? I don't quite get it.
Okay, if you can open the link.
Doing now.
Yeah. And go to the section diagram to compare. This is to compare the before scenario and after scenario.
There's a couple, like, yes, which pair of the diagram should I be looking at?
If you look at one, the first comparison, you can see actually the invalidate transactions are intense. Previously it is about 1.5. The ratio is about 1.5, but after integration, the mutate transactions, the invalidate ratio of the mutate transaction is now like around 2.5 ratio. So it's become intense, more intense.
So you are comparing the transactions with and without the mutate operations, right?
I'm comparing. If you look at the scenario before, is when ONO tree hasn't been integrated with interrupted future, and the SeaStore hasn't been fully integrated with interrupted future. And after scenario is that SeaStore has been fully integrated. So after fully integrated, the interrupted future seems transaction invalidation is more intense than before. And if you look at the second comparison, you can see the before scenario and after the scenario, the conflict from whole node is become less, and the conflict from LBA, there's more conflict from LBA. So
I see.
that's mostly what I get from the diagram.
There's a simple reason for that. Before, we would tend to detect the problem in the O-node layer, whereas now the very first step that you touch that causes an invalidate will cause it.
Yeah.
So this is actually the same behavior. We're just attributing it more correctly now.
Okay.
And Chunmei also tested her hint.
Yes, I saw that one. That one actually shifted the conflict back to the O-node one because we tended not to conflict on the LBA tree as much.
So it's just about the shifting of the conflict.
Yep.
But we didn't improve the conflict.
I mean, you're only able to run this until the LBA tree crashes, right?
Yeah.
So these are very, very small stores.
Yeah, like 35 megabytes.
Yeah, that's a completely irrelevant measure, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I'm interested in, like, for me to be particularly interested in conflict rates, I want RBD workloads on at least 64 gigs of data per OSD.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's just initial profiling.
Yeah. So for now, I think the interesting thing is that we're with the L-ladder changes, we see conflicts more in the O-node trees than we do in the L-ladder trees. That's actually kind of a neat change. I think that would happen. Once it's no longer crashing the LBA tree, which maybe this week or next month, whatever, once we wrap up those bugs, we'll start testing on larger workloads, and then we'll have to work out what we want to do about conflicts.
Yeah, I think so.
I really, really, really like these stats, though. These are awesome.
Thank you.
I'm imagining if we could have a persistent storage attached to our Jenkins node, probably we could integrate this tool into our CI. That would be ideal.
This kind of sensitive performance testing is really difficult to create binary tests for, especially with SeaStore, where the gross behavior of it's going to change so radically over time. Maybe in about 18 months, SeaStore's behavior will be stable enough that it'll make sense to compare it month to month. But I expect this to change radically soon, so I don't think it's worth putting time into. I also think it's something that everyone developing SeaStore will be paying close attention to kind of all the time. Because like once it's no longer crashing, this will be what we're judging PRs by. Like when we're developing things, we'll be interested in changing these measurements.
Yes, also I'm curious why Yixing failed to run into the crash that Chunmei had been facing recently after the node 2.
It says at the top that he just runs it until it crashes. So I think he was hitting the crash.
Okay.
I didn't debug Chunmei's crash specifically because I know of one really severe problem with the existing LBA tree. The way it finds the available logical address space when it's doing an allocation is buggy. It will do the wrong thing if a split happens during the insertion. So I just know that that's broken, so I'm not especially concerned.
I'm wondering if OMAP tree has a similar problem because it resembles LBA tree.
It doesn't because the bug is specific to the way the LBA tree finds a range of adjacent L-ladder values.
Mm-hmm.
That check doesn't happen in OMAP. There's no analogous operation. The problem is that with the existing implementation, if you are looking at a leaf node and you are considering the last entry in the leaf, you don't know where the next entry is. So the code assumes that the next entry is the end value ladder for the leaf. So if a merge or a split happens that brings the actually next entry into the same node, it can change the answer. That check, there's nothing like that in the OMAP tree.
Okay.
I could have fixed it in the existing code, but I needed to move to an iterator-based implementation anyway. So it was a good time to do this rewrite.
Yeah, I remember. I make something wrong. When I'm doing the test before, I use my workaround for the LBO tree, so that works. But currently, the master branch, there's no that workaround, so it's easily to get the crash. So that's the reason.
To move further, you could reintroduce the workaround.
Pardon?
I mean, if you wanted to move further, probably you could reintroduce the workaround back to the master when you're performing the test. Make sense?
But the workaround is not the final solution. So
yeah, that's fine.
Is
just
already will ready. Maybe it's going too soon ready to provide the PR.
Yeah,
so
just
it's no problem. So Sam, that's my reason.
Still, send me an email with the command you were using. I don't remember exactly what
okay, no problem.
I wasn't able to readily reproduce the problem before, but I think I probably can on master now. So I just want to make sure I'm doing the same thing you're doing.
So Sam, there's a test case for trigger the LBA tree alert. Do you still need that unit test?
That would be great if you could also include a link to that branch in your email. That would help.
Okay, so if it's we need it, we can merge into the master branch.
Sure.
Yeah, I will send you the link for the PR.
Cool.
Well, if merged to the master, it will cause make check fail, right?
Right, but I can grab the commit that adds it and add it to my branch.
Mm-hmm.
That way it'll merge with.
Should not be merged to the master.
And we don't necessarily run it in the make check. We could just merge it without adding to the test.
Hang on.
Make test.
Hang on. I'm saying I could add it to my branch so that it merges with its fix.
Oh, that'd be better.
No.
That way I can use it in the meantime. I don't need it in master to use it, right?
No, you don't. Okay. By the way, Chunmei, did you manage to address the slow compiling issue you mentioned the other time over the email?
It's getting better when I enable the C catch.
That makes sense.
Okay, sounds great.
Yes, that's helpful.
Redek, you just joined it.
I apologize for being late. Let me provide updates since last week. First of all, the sequencer PR is sent. It's got approved. Thanks Sam and Stishuan for the comments. I'm rebasing it to freshest master, and I planned a follow-up that minimize the footprint on client request. The up sequencer impose a little bit. I want to drop the pref op that was introduced to client request solely for the sake of op sequencer. I think the same information is basically available on the operation registry at the cost of doing some extra filtering. But I think this filtering would happen on cold paths. So it would be basically a trade-off between complexity, footprint, and and overhead, but on cold path. Trying to do that. That's one thing. Another another story is about CI/CD. I'm working on bringing the make perf checkbot back. Last week I upgraded one of the nodes to focal. It was actually a bumpy road. A lot of issues I had to learn. About netplan and the big changes in networking configuration. Focal brought. Also, some issues with our packaging of Boost, and also a tiny fix for run stability. Now I'm struggling with a build that a Jenkins task, a Jenkins job that takes far too much time, 17 hours till now, and I wonder how to cancel it. Basically, is there a way using the Jenkins web interface, or I should maybe log into the node and try to kill it manually?
Rita, could you paste me with the link
Of course.
for the job? I can cancel it on behalf of you, or you can just kill the job.
Okay,
onto the test notes.
Cool, but I would love to learn how to do it on my own.
Okay, I will discuss with you offline later.
Sure, I'm providing the link. Here it is. Apart of that, some work on the transition from GCC to CLang in MakeCheck. That's me.
Perf Crimson perf test many times runs for many hours. Something is systematically problematic there.
Yeah, but this job is particular. It hanged because of run CBT. Because run CBT found Crimson using vstart, passing -- memster instead of -- cnster. So we basically ran Crimson with alienstore, adapting memster instead of using cnster. That's wrong. That's actually a fallout from the PR that generalize alienstore to other object stores. That's me.
Thank you, Ritek. Anything else? No? Oh, thank you guys, and talk to you later. Have a good one.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.